Jolie.
And I'm Charlie.
And welcome to Teatime Talks, the Language Addict's weekly podcast to help your English listening skills, where we talk about anything and everything. As we're filming this, it is currently the 1st of December, so it is prime festive season. So we thought it'd be very fun to talk about our favourite Christmas movies and memories attached to these movies, and also to look through a poll of Britain's favourite Christmas movies of all time and see if we agree. Starting with you, so Charlie, do you have a favourite Christmas movie?
That is a good question. I mean, do I? I have a few that I've watched quite a lot, but out of those, I honestly don't know which one is my favourite, but maybe I would say Home Alone.
Home Alone.
I do enjoy Home Alone.
It is a classic, and I feel like if there's one film one Christmas film most people have seen, Home Alone is very highly probable to be one of them, I would say. Now, do I think Home Alone is as good as people remember it being? I don't know. I don't personally think I would choose to watch Home Alone.
Interesting. See, for me, it's one of those that I think I've watched it like every Christmas since I was a kid. It's not that I necessarily go out of my way to watch it, but it's always on TV and I wouldn't turn it off, I think. Whereas there's a lot of Christmas films where I just feel quite neutral about them, so I don't really pay attention. But I feel like Home Alone is one of the very few films that I actually have watched from start to finish.
In England, at Christmas time, most prime time channels, so BBC, ITV, Channel 4, those kind of channels, they will play Christmas movies all the time, every day. They're very popular. And I feel like Home Alone is one of those films which is always on TV.
It is, yeah.
And it's always on at some point. It's on multiple times throughout the festive season. I do think it's a good film, but I think compared to other Christmas films, I would probably choose something else.
Interesting. What would you choose?
So I have to say that I have a few favourites. So the first one is Nativity, which is a film that is very British and very nostalgic for me. It is set at a British primary school at Christmas where they're putting on a nativity. Things go wrong, things go right. It is a very fun, chaotic film, but I think I have a lot of nostalgia attached to it, which boosts my love of it. And it came out when I was the same age as the children in the film, so I feel like I've just always had that resonance with it. Like, I've watched it since I was that age, and every year I watch it and every year I enjoy it. Have you seen Nativity?
I have seen Nativity, yeah. It is one of the very few Christmas films that I have actually watched. I mean, we watched it together, I think, a few years ago. And yeah, it's definitely very popular. I know my sister likes it and my cousin likes it. So it was interesting actually watching it for the first time because I'd already heard so much about it. In my personal opinion, I don't think it's quite my taste, but I do appreciate it a lot because there's not many Christmas films that are specifically British. I think a lot of them are American, and even the ones that are British they're quite old, I think. So it's quite nice to relate to it.
I do agree that a lot of famous Christmas films are very Americanized and America-centric, and British and American Christmases are very, very different in That's the true. Way that they're celebrated, the way that they're even decorated is very different. So to have a film that is so specific to what a lot of British people experience. It's very nice and heartwarming to watch and re-experience that. It is also has songs in it because the nativity turns into a musical. The songs are so good. I do not care what people say. The songs will be on my playlist for Christmas. They will be right there next to Mariah Carey and Michael Bublé and all of those. I will have nativity playing. It is so good, and every year it just gets better and better. I think it's very popular with our age group.
Yeah.
Because of what I said earlier about it coming out when we were that age. So it kind of has a resonance that maybe some other films don't first, you know? It's very similar to what we went through.
Yeah, that's true. And I also feel like it's interesting watching it at our age now, like being in our early 20s, because obviously we can relate to the children having to, you know, put on a nativity and just in general experience Christmas at a primary school. It's quite a specific experience, I feel like. But now that we're older as well, I feel like I can kind of understand the viewpoint of the teachers, how stressful it would be. I can kind of sympathise with them and be like, oh God, I would not want to do that.
It is so strange to watch it at all these different points in your life because you do resonate with all the different characters when you get to this age. But at the end of the day, it's still just a very heartwarming film that no matter who you are, I feel like you would enjoy it. If there is one Christmas film that I would say out of the ones we talk about you should go and watch, I would definitely recommend Nativity. I think it's such a good film and such a good in-look on British culture.
I agree. I think a lot of Christmas films are kind of known worldwide already, especially the American ones. They're just already famous everywhere. But I feel like Nativity is one of the few ones that is very popular in the UK, but not necessarily outside. So I think it's a really good place to start if you're wanting to kind of experience British Christmas a bit more.
100%. That also kind of leans into my next favourite, which is Arthur Christmas, which is also, now this is an animated film, so it is different to Nativity, but it is also very heavily British in its, I'm pretty sure it's a British film, it's all British voice actors, it's set in Britain, and it's just so, again, heartwarming and good feeling when you watch it. It's a very unique story, I think, and I think that's why I like it, because I haven't seen a film with that plot before, which makes it even more kind of attractive to me, because I do feel like a lot of Christmas films are very incestuous in terms of their plots and their main characters, which I guess is to be seen because it's Christmas, you know, there's only so many things to do with Christmas. But the way that Arthur Christmas kind of portrays and takes their spin on it, I think is really clever. So I don't know if I actually showed you Arthur Christmas.
I don't think so. I've never watched it all the way through.
So Arthur Christmas is, as I said, an animated film, and it is about a boy called Arthur Christmas, who is the youngest son of Santa Claus, or as we say in Britain, Father Christmas. And his job is to go through all of the letters that the kids send to Santa. And the plot of the film is a letter gets missed. The main plot of the film is Arthur's mission to get this little girl's Christmas wish come true, to get her dream present. And it's so stupid and fun, and it reimagines what the North Pole looks like. Santa's sleigh is now like a spaceship.
Whoa.
That is huge and full of presents, and there's all these elves in a control room, almost like NASA, like pinpointing where they need to go. It is such a family feel-good film, I would say.
It does definitely sound very interesting. I think you're right in saying that a lot of Christmas films have a very similar plot, because realistically it's Christmas, so everything needs to be quite happy. So I feel like that sometimes can limit what Christmas films want to do. So I really enjoy animated films, first of all. I think a lot can be done with them that can't necessarily be done in person. And also,
I do think Christmas lends itself to an animated film.
I think that is true, yeah. I think just the kind of family nature of it helps as well, and the kind of happiness of it. I think, yeah, it can be portrayed very well through animation. And it does sound like an interesting plot. I think that sounds quite sweet.
So would you prefer to watch an animated Christmas film over a live action?
That's a good question, actually. I feel like I do watch a lot of animated things in general, but at Christmas I'm not sure, actually. I don't think I've watched that many animated Christmas films, apart from... I don't know if The Nightmare Before Christmas counts as a Christmas film.
I feel like there's a debate, but I would say
Yeah.
it counts as both a Halloween and a Christmas film.
I would also say that it counts as both. I think that's kind of the only one I've watched, but I'm definitely open to watching more because, to be honest, I'm not a massive fan of sort of real life films, I guess, that have people in them. I don't really watch films anyway, but I just feel like, I don't know.
I do think a lot of the classic Christmas films are live action. Maybe if you go back to the 60s, there's stop motion, quite a few stop motion, like the classic Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is in stop motion. But all in all, the main famous Christmas films are live action. However, I do think there has been a surge in animated Christmas films recently. Arthur Christmas, A Christmas Carol, the Disney version.
Snowman.
The Snowman. Well, the Snowman was the 80s.
Well, yeah, but in my mind it became very popular all of a sudden again, and I'm not sure why.
I do think it has a resurgence every now and again. People rediscover it. But especially now, there is a lot there's a lot more animated kid-specific Christmas films. I know that there's a couple on Netflix that have got really popular over the last couple of years. But I think I would choose live action Christmas films. I don't know what it is. As you said, you're someone that leans more towards animated films anyway. I think I lean the opposite and go to live action films. So a lot of mine are live action. I would say Arthur Christmas is my only animated Christmas film that I would have up there in my top 10, top 5, maybe even top 3. So it's kind of interesting that really kind of changes what Christmas films you resonate with more.
That's true, yeah. It definitely is quite hard to find animated Christmas films, but I definitely feel like in recent years there's been more of them. I guess maybe just because technology has changed and it's a bit more feasible to make animated films now. Whereas I don't know if they were as popular back in the day as such, apart from one or two. But I also, to be fair, I understand where you're coming from with the live action ones, because I do think there is something to be said about so many Christmas films being set in like the 90s and like the 80s. And I think watching those type of films and just kind of, they have a specific style where you can tell that they were made then, something a bit like the camera and everything. And I do think that is quite nostalgic and quite Christmassy as well.
I think that is the main pinpoint of what makes a good Christmas film. For me personally anyway, is nostalgia.
Yeah.
I want to have that warm feeling inside of I feel like a kid again. It's Christmas, there's presents everywhere, there's snow on the ground. Things that make me feel like nostalgic are what I really lean towards, which is why I think Nativity is such a high film on my list, and also probably a lot of older Christmas films as well. Like as you said, there seemed to be quite a fleet of Christmas films in the 90s that have become very popular. Home Alone, Jingle All the Way, The Santa Claus, I'm pretty sure that came out in the late 90s. So many, really. And I think that's why they are so popular, because it just hints back to that time of nostalgia for a lot of people.
I think that's true, which is interesting because we weren't even born in the 90s, but I think so much of that kind of era is just very nostalgic anyway. Maybe that's why I don't watch Christmas films as often though, because I have a really bad memory. So I don't really have much nostalgia when it comes to like watching films, like Christmas films. I don't know why. So I feel like a lot of the Christmas films I watch now, because I didn't watch them when I was younger, I'm watching them for the first time. So I feel like that kind of changes the experience as well. Because I'm a very nostalgic person and I really, anything that I have nostalgia for, I love forever. But I feel like because I'm watching them with fresh eyes, I feel like that kind of also changes my perception.
You don't have that connection to it that other people do, I think is a very prominent point of maybe why you don't have a love for them as much as maybe I do, for example.
I think that is it, because I think nostalgia is such a huge thing. Like, there's things that I like, TV shows and films, where objectively they're not that good, but because I have that nostalgia for them, because I watched them at a certain time or something like that, I just love them anyway. So I feel like having a personal kind of connection with a film is also really important.
So, speaking of that nostalgia, and as I mentioned, the 90s having a very big collection of quite famous Christmas films, do you have any 90s Christmas films that you really enjoy? I know that we spoke about Home Alone. Is there any other ones that stick out to you?
I don't know if any of these came out in the 90s. Maybe. I feel like, was Elf the 2000s?
Elf was 2003.
Okay, so just about the 2000s. I do enjoy Elf. Which is the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Jingle All the Way.
Yeah, I do enjoy that one as well. I mean, it's not one that I would like actively go out of my way to watch. But I feel like, especially when I was a bit younger, it was always on TV and my mum always had it on. And so I feel like I enjoy it.
I feel like Jingle All the Way is not one that many people would say is their favourite or even think of when it comes to famous Christmas films. However, it is a cult classic, and as we mentioned earlier, at Christmas time there is always Christmas films on the main British channels, and I feel like this is one that is put on there a lot. It's one where you wouldn't really go out your way to watch it, neither would you be like, oh my god, we have to watch Jingle All the Way. But because it is on, you watch it and you're like, oh, actually, I do remember enjoying this film.
Yeah, I think it is one of those, and I also think it's just got a very kind of classic Christmassy plot where the main character is a dad and his son wants this toy, and so he has to like run around trying to get this toy for his son. It's like a whole thing. It's very wholesome. It's a very like, I think, relatable kind of experience for parents at Christmas as well. So yeah, I do like it. I think it's quite sweet. And also, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger, very famous guy. I've watched a lot of his other films as well, so I feel like with Christmas films in general, I don't usually recognise the actors because I don't watch many films. So if I do recognise an actor, it's like something extra for me. It's the same with Elf. Like, I recognise the main guy. And that's not a very common experience for me because I don't really watch that much TV and film. So I feel like that's also quite fun.
So Elf is, I would say, one of the most famous Christmas films, ever.
Yeah.
Definitely in the English-speaking world, both Britain and America, Canada. Elf is one of those that everyone loves, everyone watches, and I think it's mainly because of the pull of Will Ferrell, who is the main actor, who is a very famous comedy actor. And I think also it being a comedy also draws a lot of people to it because I think Christmas comedies are quite popular, I would say, personally. I think there's a lot of famous Christmas films that have that element of comedy in it. I feel like there's two versions of a Christmas film. There's the comedy or there's the drama.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of the classic ones like It's a Wonderful Life, White Christmas, Miracle on 34th Street, they're quite drama-based.
Yeah.
But a lot of the more popular ones are comedy, Nativity, Elf, Arthur Christmas, even Home Alone is really, if you think about it, a comedy.
It's quite slapstick comedy, I suppose.
So, thinking about the ones that came out in the 90s also reminds me of kind of my favourite films from those times. And it's not the 90s, but I have quite a few favourites from the 80s. But this is where it gets a little bit complicated in that, are they or aren't they a Christmas film?
Right.
So one of my favourite Christmas films, if one would say, is Gremlins.
Oh.
So I love horror, and I wouldn't really call Gremlins a horror, but I think maybe some people would lean towards that. I love Gremlins. I think it is one of the best films ever. And many people forget, and even I forget until I watch it, that it happens at Christmas. The Gremlin is a Christmas present. Like, it happens at Christmas time. So I would count it as a Christmas film, potentially. I wouldn't say that it's one that you only watch at Christmas. You can watch it any time, but I do think it counts as a Christmas film.
I mean, if it happened at Christmas, then I would say that's a Christmas film. I think the thing is, people wouldn't necessarily class it as a Christmas film because, again, there's this stereotype of, like, Christmas plots where it's like, okay, there's a family and there's some problem and then everything all works out fine in the end and it's all very happy and cute. But I feel like if a film breaks that mold, people just don't really associate it with being very festive.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is fair. And I also think if a film is set at Christmas, it's a Christmas film.
I would agree. I think I would agree because if there's a film that's set at Halloween, a lot of the time that's put down as a Halloween film, you know, even if the plot isn't related too much to Halloween.
Yeah, a lot of the time they're just general horror, but they're seen as Halloween films anyway.
Exactly. So I would say Gremlins can be a Christmas film, and this kind of leads into one of the biggest debates, whether or not Die Hard is a Christmas film.
See, this is interesting to me, because maybe I've missed something, or maybe I'm misremembering. Did anything happen in Die Hard that was festive?
I think it is just set at Christmas.
Right, okay.
I think it is the same as Gremlins, where it's set at Christmas.
Right.
Maybe Gremlins is a little bit more festive because it's a Christmas, like, it's a very Christmas-based in terms of, like, the setting. It's Christmas is everywhere. It's snowing, you know, it's festive. It's time, you know, coming up to Christmas Day, whereas I don't really know if that's the same with Die Hard or if Die Hard is just set at the Christmas December. Now, I can't really chime into this because I've never watched Die Hard.
I think I have, but it was probably a good, 15 years ago at this point, so I can't really remember. But from what I do remember, I wouldn't necessarily view it as a festive film. I mean, if it's set at Christmas, okay, I guess. But at the same time, I wouldn't necessarily think, oh, it's Christmas, it's time to watch Die Hard. I think.
Exactly. But some people do, though.
If some people do.
Some people's favourite Christmas film is Die Hard, and therefore, when it's Christmas, they're like, okay, we need to watch Die Hard. So, I think the whole debate of whether or not it is a Christmas film is kind of redundant.
Yeah.
Because I think if you consider it a Christmas film, it's a Christmas film.
I think it's all just about personal association, really.
Yeah, 100%.
Because there's a lot of films where they might even not necessarily be set at Christmas, but they're just kind of like nice family films, and so they're the kind of thing you'd want to watch at Christmas. Like for me, again, I don't really watch Christmas films or anything like that, but there's certain TV shows and things like that that come out in November, December, January, that once it gets to that kind of time of the year, I'm like, oh, I need to rewatch that because it just feels like that time of year.
Yeah.
Whereas it's got nothing to do with Christmas, but it's just that personal feeling and that personal association with the festive season, I think.
I agree, and I feel like that's also something that TV channels have ingrained in us, because as we said, they put a lot of films on at Christmas time. A lot of those films aren't Christmas related. They're just family orientated films. So one of the ones that sticks out to me is The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
It is always on at Christmas. The Wizard of Oz is on multiple times, multiple channels. You will always see The Wizard of Oz at Christmas. And therefore, it kind of feels like a Christmas film because of that association with that time of year. There is nothing Christmassy in The Wizard of Oz.
No, there isn't. But again, I think it's just that kind of specific, old film vibe that is quite popular at holidays. Because
nostalgia, it all boils down to nostalgia.
It is. I think it's the nostalgia and the general upbeat nature of things, where it's it gets to Christmas and suddenly all the old classics are on, even if they're not necessarily Christmassy.
I have the same thing with a film called Meet Me in St. Louis, which is from the late 1930s, in fact, or it might be 1940. And it's a tradition in my family that every Christmas Eve we watch this film. Now, there is one portion of the film which is set at Christmas, but it is not inherently a Christmas film, neither is it focused on Christmas. But because we watch it every Christmas Eve, it feels Christmassy to us, even though it might not to somebody else. So I do think Christmas films are very personal.
Yeah, I do think so, because obviously Christmas is all about like family and like tradition and things like that. So I think each family has their own kind of traditions and things that they do, and I think films also play into that. Like, there's certain films that my family watch or certain films that other people watch, and I think it's very specific to the household and the person. So yeah, I do think it really depends.
Yeah, I completely agree. It is very subjective to the families. Now, I do think it'd be interesting to look at a poll of Britain's favourite Christmas films and see, are we in the majority? Are we the minority? Who knows? So we're using a poll from Radio X, which came out in 2021. So this might be slightly dated in a couple of the films. But at number 10, we have Miracle on 34th Street, which I briefly mentioned earlier. And I'm not surprised it's there because it is a very, again, classic film. I feel like even if you don't enjoy it, people watch it because that's what you do at Christmas, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd agree. I haven't watched it personally, but it's on TV very often, and I know it's very famous. So I would say that's a fair place for it to be.
So, ninth is Scrooge, which it doesn't specify a date for this one, so I don't really know which specific Scrooge film it is. As we said, a lot of Christmas films are incestuous, and therefore there are so many based on A Christmas Carol and so many called Scrooge. But above that, number 8 is White Christmas. Again, another one of those old films. This was like 1930s, I think. Bing Crosby, very famous, very well known in the zeitgeist. But I would not say one that I've ever watched.
I haven't either, I don't think. I mean, I know it's famous, like I hear people mention it a lot, but I think maybe there's a bit, when I look at this list, maybe a bit of like a generation gap for me. Because a lot of these films, I know they're very well known, but I'd never choose to watch them.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, looking at this list, I do think that is a point that comes back of well-known films that just have that notoriety because they have been watched for so long. So number 7 is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, which I know is a very, very well-loved and adored Christmas film. But I've never personally watched it, and I know that might be shocking to some people. It is a comedy, I know that. Very slapstick comedy, if I'm correct. And very American.
Oh, I see. That's very probably American. Why I've never watched that one. In fact, I've never even heard of that one. But I do think comedy is a bit hit or miss for me as well, so...
I'm not surprised it's in the top 10, I will say that. Moving on to number 6, though, is Love Actually. So going from a very American film to quite a British film. I have watched Love Actually a few times. It's not my favourite. I wouldn't choose to watch it, but if it's on, I may keep it on. Have you ever watched Love Actually? Do you know what Love Actually is? I've never
sat down and watched it, but I've seen a lot of clips from it because it's obviously a very famous film. But I think it's one of those for me where it's almost like, I don't know how to describe it. It's almost one of those films that's so like renowned in terms of like awards and in terms of like people appreciating sort of like it as a piece of cinema.
It's so referenced.
Yeah, it's so referenced and it's so like famous in the world of cinema that I don't think it's one that I'd like choose to watch casually, if that makes sense.
Yeah, this is definitely one where the draw was that there's so many famous actors in it, and I think that's only increased as time's gone by and those actors have got more famous, you know.
That's true.
Keira Knightley, Andrew Lincoln, Martin Freeman, so many well-known actors in there which were well known at the time but have only gotten bigger. I think it is definitely one which, again, a lot of people have nostalgia attached to, and also I think is a rom-com.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people are drawn to romantic Christmas films. There's a lot of romantic Christmas films out there. I would say I'm surprised it is this high up purely because it's not a family film. It is true. Not for children.
No, I'd say it's more like couples would watch it or something.
Yeah, it's got its contents are not appropriate for children, I would say, in some parts.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised it's that high up, but also I'm surprised that there's some others that are lower down, which I thought might be more popular purely because they are more family orientated.
Yeah.
So number 5, we have Home Alone, which I'm not surprised it's in the top 5, but maybe a little surprised it's 5 and not a little bit higher up.
That's the first one, yeah.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. For me, I think Home Alone, in general, to be fair, Home Alone 1 or 2 are kind of in my top rankings. But I don't know. What do you think?
I would say that is a very good spot for Home Alone. I think it's not as popular as it used to be, maybe. But I do think it's a classic that everyone watches and is so highly referenced that it's kind of, you're not able to forget about it.
That's true. It's just so, like, everyone knows it.
Yeah. So then number 4 is Die Hard, which again, I think just shows that many people agree it is a Christmas film. Number 3 is Elf, which I'm not surprised it's that high up there. Number 2 is one we haven't mentioned, but is one that I really adore. And I only actually watched it, I would say, a couple of years ago. And it's The Muppet Christmas Carol. I know that this is an absolutely adored Christmas film by so many people. And I just think it's because there's a comedy aspect, there's a nostalgia aspect. It just kind of has everything in it. And I think that's why it's so loved by people.
Yeah, I do think so. And the Muppets in general, obviously, are very famous and very popular. I'm surprised it's this high, though, actually. Like, I know it's very popular, and I've seen it on TV and stuff. But if you were to ask me, like, what's your, like, top few Christmas films, I don't think it's one that would necessarily come to my mind straight away.
I would say it's in my top 5, I would definitely say.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised it's that high. Now, ranked Britain's favourite Christmas film of all time at number 1 is It's a Wonderful Life. I am not surprised, but I do think this is purely here because of its high status as a Christmas film. I don't think many people watch this film and love it. I think people watch it because, oh, it's Christmas, you have to watch it.
I agree.
Oh, it's Christmas, oh, of course, It's a Wonderful Life. That's how I personally think why it's so high.
I think I agree. I think if you ask the average person, would they watch it at Christmas? Probably not. I think it's just one of those where it's like so famous, and also it has the advantage of being a bit older, I guess. So people know it's a famous film. But I don't think people would like actively really choose to watch it at Christmas. Like, especially maybe people of our generation. I don't know. It's very famous, but it's not one that's like, oh, let's watch that because it's fun, kind of thing.
There is a generation gap, I definitely agree.
I know my mom likes it and stuff like that.
It is definitely an older film that a lot of maybe older people would have more attachment to than our age or younger. And again, it maybe lends to the fact that it's always on.
Yeah.
It's always shown at Christmas time, so you can't really escape it, maybe why. But I'm not surprised that it's at number 1 because of that reason.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough, to be honest.
So yeah, those are apparently the top 10 Christmas films for British viewers. That British people, those are their favourite Christmas films. I don't know if that's very representative of my love of Christmas films or my favourite Christmas films, but I would say it's pretty standard of how popular these films are that they are in those places.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think most of the big ones are in the top 10. There's a few that aren't, that I like, but I'd say in terms of general popularity, it's fairly accurate.
So, we hope you guys enjoyed this little podcast talking about Christmas films. Please let us know in the comments if you've seen any of these top 10, and if you have, which one is your favourite, or if you have a favourite that has not been mentioned, let us know where you love it, and we will see you again in the next video.
Bye.